Lack of maintenance and repair provisions in leasing contracts. Lack of maintenance and repair provisions in leasing contracts can lead to disputes between lessors and lessees over who is responsible for maintaining and repairing the leased asset. To avoid these disputes, it is important to clearly define the maintenance and repair responsibilities in the leasing contract. Some ways to address maintenance and repair provisions in leasing contracts include defining routine maintenance. The leasing contract should clearly define routine maintenance that is required to keep the leased asset in good condition. This can include oil changes, tire rotations, and regular inspections. Establishing a maintenance schedule. The leasing contract should specify how often routine maintenance should be performed and who is responsible for performing it. This can help prevent disputes over whether maintenance was performed regularly. Defining repair responsibilities. The leasing contract should clearly define who is responsible for major repairs to the leased asset. This can include repairs that are necessary due to normal wear and tear, as well as repairs due to accidents or other unexpected events. Specifying repair standards. The leasing contract should specify the standards to which repairs should be made. This can include the use of original manufacturer parts or other specific requirements. Outlining repair procedures. The leasing contract should outline the procedures for reporting and addressing repairs. This can include requirements for notifying the lessor of repairs, obtaining approval for repairs, and submitting receipts for reimbursement. By clearly defining the maintenance and repair provisions in leasing contracts, lessors and lessees can avoid disputes over who is responsible for maintaining and repairing the leased asset. It is important to review the maintenance and repair provisions carefully before signing a leasing contract to ensure that both parties understand their responsibilities. Lack of termination provisions in leasing contracts. Lack of termination provisions in leasing contracts can be problematic if one party needs to end the lease early. It is important for both the lessor and lessee to have a clear understanding of the circumstances under which the lease can be terminated and the procedures for doing so. Some ways to address termination provisions in leasing contracts include early termination clauses. The leasing contract should include an early termination clause that specifies the circumstances under which the lease can be terminated before the end of the lease term. This can include options such as termination with a penalty or termination with the payment of a fee. Notice requirements. The leasing contract should specify the notice requirements for early termination. This can include the amount of notice required, how the notice must be provided, and to whom it must be provided. Termination procedures. The leasing contract should outline the procedures for early termination, including how the leased asset must be returned and any other obligations of the parties. Default provisions. The leasing contract should include provisions that specify the consequences of default by either party. This can include remedies for breach of contract, such as the right to terminate the lease and/or seek damages. Assignment provisions. The leasing contract should include provisions that address the assignment of the lease. This can include provisions that prohibit assignment without the consent of the other party or that require certain conditions to be met before assignment is permitted. By including termination provisions in leasing contracts, both parties can have a clear understanding of their rights and obligations in the event that the lease needs to be terminated early. It is important to review these provisions carefully before signing a leasing contract to ensure that both parties are comfortable with the terms.